Okay, so I thought that this one would be fun to just go for it. I just put the search word in and I haven't messed with anything. So we get this fun day chart to start off with. Not a chart that I usually use, but usually. Anyway, let's start here. And go. So essentially, what I'm looking for here is how does the price correlate with the Google search? Well, according to their software trends, this is the chart. Bitcoin. So how similar is this to the dollar or tether? Dollar or tether? Dollar. With all respect. Tether. With all respect. Especially to the United States of America country. Because there's a reason I don't want to get into that. That Bitcoin is priced in the United States. Paper dollars. Anyway, how does this compare to USDT? I'm just going to say dollar pairing. Well, first of all, this is a standard chart. This is not logarithmic, which makes this a little bit more interesting to read. It's kind of close. Maybe. But, I mean, one of the things that just really, I don't even want to start here. I mean, is there anything else? I mean, let's start with the, what was it, like the 2017 or so, bear market. Well, that's obviously a little bit different. In the sense that, roughly speaking, it looks like maybe it captured the blow off top. It's a technical term. Or you could just call it the overside test. It sounds a lot friendlier. But the detail, it looks like it did not capture so well. Now, that's not necessarily a Google Trends thing. this is not reflecting the price of Bitcoin. This is reflecting the searches for Bitcoin. So, what I'm wondering is, were people searching for it at the same rate as the price was moving? Which really, does it make sense that that would be the case? To me, I would think that it does. It being similar is something that I would think it would be. It being similar is something I would think it would be. It being similar is something I would think that it would be. So what I'm looking at here is pretty neat, because it only vaguely correlates. Okay, so now that I've done a macro structure, there's the other thing that I want to talk about. The 64 whatever $1,000 region. I'm just gonna start calling it an overside test. It's called a blow off top, but I don't really like those words too much. They can be heard as being not nice or just not friendly, and not yeah. Anyway, um, so I am going to prefer to call them an overside test, because that's what I call them. And there was a very unique macro double one on this one. There might be all sorts of different ways that chartists look at that particular region, but I see it as a macro double. And not necessarily a top, let's just simply loosely call it a double top. So what's astounding to me right now is that, yes, the price chart did have macros that were somewhat like this. The second high was higher, but this is like quite a bit higher. So in other words, somehow, and I'm just starting to put some more of this together in more pedantic, and that's just a neutral word. Maybe I should say pedestrian. Anyway, I'm just going to use the word that I used for this particular situation. The typical word, the common word. Is why the idea is why did this receive essentially more interest from people, from commoners. Again, it's a neutral word. When the price of this thing, respectfully, Bitcoin, was structurally staying at its particularly highest level, and that's a very loosely used word, highest, whatever. Because I would think that this would receive more interest whenever it had been in the what do you want to call it, the 2000 something to 1800, pardon me, thousand region, and then it starts to exit that bear market, go into a IMHO, in my humble opinion, very quick bull market. Is that not the more exciting time? And before anybody jumps to calling anybody stupid, I don't think this means people are stupid. I find it incredibly interesting. Because you would think that if there was going to be interest at the highs, it wouldn't be this disproportionate. And wow, I'm really talking about something that just I didn't want to talk about to begin with so much, because it just really is just opening up a whole idea to me. Idea. So you telling me at this time that at those highs people are suddenly more interested whenever you could buy a car with it than whenever you could buy a used car with it? Something more practical? I mean, the most reasonable thing that comes to mind is this is just blatantly illustrating just how unknown BTC USDT the software known as Bitcoin still is. It's just so uncommon. But it's like one of the most beautiful pieces of software that I've researched. Anyway, I digress from that. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of options for what's right here before me in this particular chart, and a number of ways that it could begin to develop. So I am now going to retrace from that a little bit. Sort of. And let's look at something else. Maybe. Okay. Wow. Going in a logical order this time. From the 2004 region, whatever Google wants to put as their denominations of time. To present, I think, is what it is. Going down to the 5 year, whatever. That's how they want to do it. With all respect, a chart is a chart, is a chart is a chart. And I'm very much enjoying using this chart. But it looks like that 2017 or so bear market is now a little bit more defined here. Yeah, and there's a little bit of a scale thing going on here too with that. So, still just kind of piecing this together at the moment. So yeah, if this is going to correlate any kind of way at all to the price chart, then just a side note. Something needs to be studied, or wants to be studied, or needs to be studied, or yeah, wants to be studied anyway. Um, about what I'm assuming is somewhere around the $8,000 level. Okay, interesting stuff. Moving along. Now, if I am correct in my scale perception here, scale. Um, yeah. Um. First of all, there is a very large difference between this chart and the original macro chart, which I didn't really want to say it at the time, but I was like, okay, if that's an overside test on that second large high at the 64 whatever $1,000 level, if that's an overside test, what does the wick look like? Is there any kind of wick? And I was actually starting to think, well, maybe going that high was some kind of wick. Well, looking at this chart, it actually kind of makes me think a little bit more that that other chart could have somehow or another been a wick. Because here, it looks to me like, well, I mean, first of all, clearly the second high is lower. They're going in a different direction, which, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? If you said it means divergence, well then, welcome to one of the most fun things that there is to do. Because that's what I would call it. So, yeah, you might be onto something there. So, anyway, it's very interesting that there's a divergence between charts right here. This is a formal chart. This is not an indicator. Assumptively. Now there can be divergences between the chart itself on different time frames. That's usually going to be a pretty intense thing to study.
Thank you very much, Courtney. I'm going to take that thing to the laundry so they can empty it where they left.
I mean, okay, just for a moment here, I am going to be happy with myself this is kind of what I was thinking more, really, was that there was a lot more interest during that particular time period as opposed to the second time period. So I'm a little bit happier now that this is actually giving me something more that I would think is the possible thing to do, with all respect. it would still indicate some kind of divergence. And really, wow, just digress from that for a moment, shall I? Yeah, okay, so I've advanced to the right side of particularly this chart. And it definitely does look like what would be the equivalent of, wow, the 8,000 something region from the previous bear market is of some kind of power level, because we are apparently testing it pretty hard. That's not exactly how the price action actually went in that area, if this is all as clear as what I'm imagining it to be. Now, it did receive a pretty massive test IMHO, in my humble opinion. Now, furthermore, over here, it does look like this level will be higher. I'm thinking maybe closer to, wow, what was it, like 22,000 over here? And if this chart is live, well, of course it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. And we're currently at what, like, 72,000 dollars. I mean, let's just keep this simple. Is this indicating quite a nice amount of room for this thing to continue growing? I'm not even going to put my opinions of the price chart into this. And in fact, if we trend that, okay, I'm going to put myself on the spot. $8,000 over there to roughly $22,000 over there, that would be a line that would extend out to, oh, well, wow. I'm gonna guess it's not gonna even hit 32,000. I don't think. Oh boy, 31,000. Let's say something like that. 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 Anyway, I'm more realistically thinking something like $26,000 on that trend line. Which may possibly be that back test in the actual price chart. Wow. If that's a thing, then wow. What a nice, fantastic chart. Magnificent and superior. Nice. Um, and it's like going back to this divergence, it's almost too macro right now for me to even want to give it that much attention at the moment. Because I mean, let's face it, it kind of carried out what a divergence would be there. If this would be a bearish divergence in the chart, then the fact that it went down to 20 something thousand, it kind of found its base around 22,000 or so. Kind of makes sense. So yeah, anyway, this is a pretty cool one. Let's move along, shall we? Okay, I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy this one for a moment. Or a moment, 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 or a moment. Yeah. And then move along, because this is a nice one too. So yeah, anyway. This one is nice, but it's not quite as thrilling. However, this would also be a short term perspective. In fact, so short term that if it correlated to the price chart, I'm not even sure if it would have that large of an effect yet. In fact, if anything, I would almost assume that people are starting to get interested in Bitcoin again. But that is a very careful assumption. But I mean, come on. Am I correct in saying that it's hit particularly all-time highs again? Particular. That may guessing could be a coding joke. Anyway. Particular. Anyway. A chart like this usually ends up looking a little bit on the bearish side. This one does not. Quite the opposite. Kind of looks a little bit bullish to me. We will see. 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 Essentially. Essentially. So anyway, in possible conclusion, does this chart directly correlate with the price chart of Bitcoin? No, I don't think so. But I would postulate theorize, extrapolate, and guess that this could be one of the more powerful indicators that there are. My name is Master Andrew. IVIASTER space ANDRUU, original spelling. IVIASTER space ANDREW. That's my nice computer screen name thing of a screen name. The name that I usually respond to is Andrew Neil Shaun, Mr. Or you can call me Andrew. Have a nice day.